All right, we are going to begin our business planning session. Good morning. Your audio just has to be shut up. Okay, so we're going to record this and get started. Good morning. Thank you guys so much. I'll tell you more later, but we're being recorded, so let's get going with our business planning for 2026. If you did not see where to go get this, let me show you. Let me see if I can get back to a page I can get onto. Just open new. So get open one of those. Uh-oh. So my other screens, let me stop sharing and go find a screen I can open up with. Okay. So if you have not gone here to One University, I'll go to the basic part of here. On One University, you go into your Zoom. Oops, I've been logged out. So here, we'll go this way. You need to log into your zone, which is going to make me do here. And go ahead and go into, so anybody that's got your speakers on, you just have to turn your speaker off. Okay, so you're going to go into your One University. Anybody know who's? Right here. Okay, she's got it. All right. So in your One University, there's lots and lots of things you can scroll down. I think it may even be under pathways. Let's see if it's here. It is not. So I would just go up to the search bar and type business plan. And it is going to, now I'm going to have a lot more visible than you will because I have broker plans as well. So here is your 2026 agent business planning guide. That's where you want to go to get this because you want to download this. Now, when you open this, there are going to be two options. Well, you're going to go ahead and you have to enroll. I've already enrolled. If you look over here on the right, it will show you that there's two plans here. One is a PDF. If you hover over it, you'll see one is a PDF and one is a Word document. I have opened the Word document so we can follow along on the Word document. You will also need to go back to this. Let me back up here. And you will need to search for, let's see if it'll come up this way. Where's my little search bar? Business plan, if I can spell it correctly, worksheets. Let's see if all of them will come up with that. Okay, so what you need are the planning guide. Where are the links? Planning guide. It's just saying the same thing. Well, I will have to show you what each of these are as we go through because we'll have to search each one. One of them I know is the snapshot. I didn't write them down on my side sheet, but if you type in snapshot, you'll get the One Business snapshot. There'll be others as we go through the actual thing. We'll be able to get each of these Excel spreadsheets because they actually let you build and drop in your data. So I'll show you what they look like. I've already downloaded them. So let me go back to share my screen. Oh, were you guys not even seeing that? I'm so sorry. I was not sharing that while I was doing that live. Well, that is unfortunate. We will have to go back and do that. Let me. Did you see where I was online though? You can see this, but you didn't see the other, right? Okay. And is anybody else online now?
No. Oh, wait, no,
Jody
just
and Barbara.
us.
Jody came back on?
Jody's
Okay.
on and Barbara
Aren't you Barbara?
and Barb.
Oh, Barbara also. Thank you. Gotcha. Well, good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is. So those online, were you able to see that? Because I realized I did not show that. I was not sharing my screen. And-
They're cracking up.
No, I know they're cracking up, but are they there? Okay. Guys, go to your One University and type in business plan. Let me just go back to this.
Okay.
So you can follow along here. So,
No, I mean, I did the.
this is what the business plan looks like in the Word form. I'm actually going to go to a slide deck, but I'm going to try and see if I can find all the links here. So personal business budget worksheet. So these are the other worksheets. Thank you.
Okay.
Personal.
Okay.
You can try that. See, I don't, the only link there is the coaching. Unfortunately, I don't think the link, oh, you got it? Oh, perfect. If you could put those links in there, that would be great. I am going to go into my slide deck. You're seeing my whole lovely screen here.
It's one dot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's through your Zone login. Let me go back to,
Yeah, it's that one. You put it in the chat.
thank you.
Hopefully you're all some.
Yeah.
My screen is not showing everything. That is very bizarre. There we go. Okay. To my slides, I had the wrong setup here that I wanted. All right, let's get this open so you can see that. Now, am I sharing the screen now? You guys are all seeing this now? Up above, slide deck? Yes? Perfect. That's what we want. Okay. All right, let me move on with this. So we are going to be going through this, and as you saw, I was showing you the Word version of this. Now I'm on my slide deck, so I cannot enter this information. But the beginning of this is basically talking about setting your business plan. And anytime you're setting your business plan, you want to go from what your goals are for the future and what you are looking at in the past. Okay. So we're going to get started by looking at what 3 areas of your business do you want to focus on in 2026. You can focus obviously both on business and personal. The documents and the worksheets will show you both. So it does give you both options to give you an idea of things to set goals. Why to set your goals? It's really to give you some guidance for where you want to go, to set your ambitions for what you're looking for, to provide a long-term vision, right? So some of us are new in the industry and who knows where they want to be. Some of us are in the middle of our careers and we just want to elevate a little more. Obviously, if you've been in real estate for at least 3 years, the last 3 years have been somewhat subdued. So maybe you're trying to set goals to say, I want to punch out of this. I want to really get, motivated and excel beyond where I have been these last few years. It's also to create accountability. And I think one of the best things that this particular business plan sets up is looking back at that accountability. These Excel spreadsheets are amazing, but the key to the greatest key you can get from any business plan is you have to look back at it. If you don't look back at it, it isn't going to give you anything. Okay. So if you don't like this business plan, if this is way too much for you, I have a more simplified 1-page, here you go, quick, short, and sweet, right? But ultimately, it's whatever you will come back and look at. Now, how often do you need to come back? Some people say you need to come back and look at it weekly. Some people monthly, some people quarterly. It doesn't matter as long as you come back and look at it, right? Because if you think about it, if you don't look back and say, how did this month go, right? Did I achieve what I was looking for this month? Well, how are you tracking and measuring what's working for you, right? So a good example is if you're holding open houses and the goal is that you want to get, you're going to hold 3 open houses a week and your goal is to get 3 new clients. Okay. So 1 per open house. You set the goals. I'm not setting the goals. I wouldn't be setting 10 per open house when you might not get 10 people through your open house, right? But let's say you're setting those goals. And at the end of the month, you come back and realize you had 10 people go through, or let's do 9, 3 per open house, right? And you got 1 person out of all 3 open houses. Well, if your goal was 3 and you only got 1, it's not time to give up. It's time to say, okay, what do I need to change? How do I relook at this, right? Am I just going and putting a sign out and going and sitting at the door? Or am I knocking the neighborhood? Am I sending open house coming soon? Come see me. What am I doing to get people to that house? What social media am I doing? I mean, you got to change what you're doing. If nobody's showing up, it probably is not that you're sitting there. It's that there's no other amplifier to help get people to that open house.
Right.
If that's the only thing you're doing, right?
Putting up more than one sign.
Or putting up more than one sign, right? Are you putting it at the right intersections, right? Are you putting any signs up, right? So exactly, but the idea is to track and measure that, right? So you've done 3 open houses, you get 1 person, then either you got to do 4 open houses or you've got to change something else. And that's the idea of this is the accountability and tracking and measuring, right? Because you don't want to spend an entire year doing 36 open houses and getting 3 total new clients out of it. That would be a waste of your time.
Yeah.
Right. So, areas you can look at for your goals, right? Business and career, maybe family, absolutely include those, right? What does your family look like? Where are you looking to grow? What are you looking to do as a family? Spiritual, personal development, health. How many of us in January were set goals, right? I'm going to do the following, right? And then we don't look back at it. And then by June, we're like, yeah, whatever that was. Maybe by March, February, yeah, whatever that was. I'm not going to cut out carbs, whatever it is, right? So the idea is that you set these things in motion so you can watch them. I will tell you, this business planning guide is kind of tough because it really asks some hard questions. So, but the key again is design a plan of action that works for you. You can use it to create and maintain a daily schedule. I have plenty of people in this office that have something called co-careers. We're going to use that phrase instead of part-time agent. It's a co-career, right? Tell me how many insurance people you would work with that say they're part-time insurance brokers, right? How many lawyers would you go to that say they're part-time lawyers? But how many lawyers are probably doing another job, believe it or not, right? How many insurance people are doing another job? They may have co-careers. And many of those, you would say, well, gosh, they're entrepreneurs, right? We've got a teacher in this room, not me. We've got a teacher in this room that actually is teaching as well as being a realtor. That's a co-career, right? And you would absolutely, yeah, I'll work with him, right? That's amazing. So let's change our vocabulary as well. But I've got plenty of people that are doing co-careers, and what I tell them is you may not need to do a daily schedule, but you better do a weekly schedule to know what you need accomplished that week, right? And it doesn't have to be at 9 a.m. I'm doing this, right? But what do I want to accomplish? That's the idea of the business plan. So each week I want to talk to 4 new people or 3 new people. You pick the numbers, right?
Yeah.
So if all you do is go from your house to this office to another office and you don't go anywhere else, how are you meeting 4 new people?
Social.
Well, social media, that's fine. But are you actually on social media talking to people, or are you just looking at your social media and flying through, right? If you're on social media, that's great. Are you interacting with people, right? How are you getting that involvement to meet new people? So again, that daily, weekly schedule, what is it for you that you need to change perhaps for 2026, right? I talk about with newer agents getting name tags, right? And I don't need those, right? But you'd be surprised if you are in a coffee shop wearing a name tag, how somebody will approach you and say something, right? Or wear a branded shirt, right? You guys laugh that I wear these, but they're amazing. People are like, oh, you're in real estate? Yes, I am, right? So do something that makes you stand out, right? Go to the grocery store, go to a coffee shop. I've told some newer agents, actually, told some people getting back in the business, go sit at a coffee shop, open your computer, do some searches, and you know what? Pick up your phone and, well, turn it to mute, by the way, right? Turn it to mute and turn your ringer off. But hey, I can have a conversation with somebody. Doesn't matter that they're really not on the phone. Like I can have a whole conversation about a community that I'm really passionate about. Oh, great. I'll call you back. Thanks. People around me, you know they're listening. You know they're listening, right? So if you can't figure out how to put yourself out there, go to a coffee shop.
This one, Melissa. Yeah.
Right. So, but again, some daily schedule, weekly schedule, get out of your current routine if this year wasn't what you wanted, right? But we're going to have to look at last year's business goals, right? And analyze the year's results. Here's the hard one for newer agents is estimate the number of transactions, listing and sales needed to reach your goals. You will have to see this real estate closing goals worksheet. And again, that's one of them you can see. It says if you can't find an email, I will tell you if you type in that name, you will find it. I don't quite know why they're not in one place. It's kind of weird. They're not attached, but you can find them. Establish a minimum number of prospecting hours relative to your income goal, right? If new to the industry, 95% of your time should be spent finding new business. And I would say for those that are struggling and did not have the 2025 they wanted, probably close to 60 to 75%. If you're not getting the referral business you want, right? You need to be spending a percentage of time going back to your past client database and your original sphere. And the other is to go after new business. Right? You can't have a referral base if you don't have any past business. It's not there. So you got to build that business stream, right? So I think this is interesting. Create a monthly marketing plan, right? Create marketing assets. You brought it up earlier. That can be social media. Just because you're creating a marketing plan doesn't mean you're spending money. It means you're looking at what is available out there. How can you reach out to people? How can you go to our allies and go to our partners with Rock Title? Ask Rebecca's here in our office. How do you ask Rebecca what marketing tools and resources? She's putting out usually weekly some social media tools and tips. Are you using them? Like she's teaching you how to make was it a carousel? A carousel? Like I'm clueless on these things, right? But really they're there and Rebecca's there to help you, right? So determine what mode of distribution. Are you going to do a coming soon? You have a listing coming up. Are you going to do a coming soon postcard or a new to the market postcard? Here's the thing I'll tell you about those postcards. When you drop one to a neighborhood, are you getting noticed? No. So if you're going to drop a new to the coming soon, do a coming soon, get it just listed, and then something of a call to action. Do you want a evaluation on your property, right? Do something where you're doing at least 3 postcards to the area so that you can actually be visible. Let me ask this. How many have received a postcard in the last 3 months from a realtor at your home? Almost everybody is raising their hand, right? How many of you have received 2 postcards from that same agent?
Last 3 months.
Have you received one from one of those agents in the last 3 months? Again, is one a duplicate?
I don't think I received more than one in the last 3 months from the same agent.
Have you over the year
Yeah.
They're farming.
Patricia Collins from Realty One Group. She, yeah.
Go, Patricia. Okay, so but that's the thing though. Very rarely the rest of the people in this room said no. I mean, I've gotten one-offs all year long. I've gotten one-offs. I have not gotten a single person 2 times, right? And that's the thing, right? It would stand out if I'd seen the same face twice. One of them I got is they're from Ahwatukee. I'm like, what are you doing marketing my neighborhood up here? Like,
Yeah.
really? Because they had a listing up here. Yeah, go back on your turn. No, but seriously, if you've got a property, that's fine. You know, go knock the neighborhood. Like you have a new listing, knock the neighborhood, get something into those doors, then follow up with or start with a postcard, follow up by knocking, do the open house. Right? All of a sudden they're going to see your information or they're going to see Realty One Group, Realty One Group, Realty One Group. They're going to see that repetition, right? Schedule the activities. What exactly is your marketing plan? How are you going to do this? So I go old school on this, folks. I love my digital calendar on my phone. It's great, but for planning, I have to see the calendar, right? So, and if you're working with somebody like Rebecca, you're working with a marketing person, you need to know, I want that out by the 5th of next month. You can't have that meeting with her on the 3rd. That does not work, right? You have to plan if you are printing things, even your social media, you can now schedule those. If you have not been into our One Creative Studio and realized you can now schedule social media releases from our studio, right? But it means you've got to go in and set up your designs and then set them time-wise to go out. And what is that time frame you want them to go out? Does that make sense? Okay. Establish a budget. Newer agents, right? Brand new agents are always shocked when I tell them not our fees, because our fees are reasonable. But oh, by the way, now you need to join the Trio, you need to join ARMLS, you need to join Supra, and then let's start about marketing yourself, right? So those are all business expenses. You need to do a business budget worksheet, right? It costs approximately I think it's about $1,500 now for the Trio ARMLS, all, you know, all those things combined, right? So put that on your budget worksheet. That's an annual cost for you, right? And then every 2 years, you got to renew your license. What does that cost? Are you taking the free classes or are you paying for them? Doesn't really matter, but budget for it, right? Set your income and expense goals to determine your budget. Meaning, what do you want to make? Oh, wait, what are our expenses? Because you can't know what you're going to make if you don't know what your expenses are to see what that net is, right? Because you want to get to a certain net, but if your goal is to make $50,000 and your expenses are, I don't know, $10,000, you got to make 60 grand, not 50 grand, right? So you need to realize there are expenses with your business. And I think that's one of the biggest misnomers in our industry, especially with our clients, right? Well, you don't need any money. You're fine, right? You can give me a discount. It's like they don't understand what the costs are that are involved in our day-to-day operations. Okay. So then you've got to record your actual income and expenses. If you are not using a specific credit card to run things through and pay off, or if you're separating your bank accounts, I mean, it's easier when you have some separation there. If everything is being run on the same card, it's hard to figure out, was that business? Was that, personal? What was that? I know it's sometimes hard to set all those accounts up. So for the first year, if you need to, just make sure you're splitting them off. Eventually, if you can kind of separate some of those a little easier. Measure and track your transaction results by using the One Zone transaction tab in SkySlope. Let's see if I can do this. We're going to escape out of here. Let's try to stay on my share mode and go into, if you go into One Login, and let's make you log in again. Okay. So my SkySlope's going to look differently than yours. I wonder if I can even get to this from here. I've never tried to do this as the broker. In SkySlope, you have a place to put your goals. And I don't even know if you realize this. So, I may not be able to do this while I'm here. Let's see. I don't think I can get there from here. Here, I'm going to go in under zone. Let's see if I can pull this. There is a way to set it in SkySlope, but I'm going to show you where it shows up, and I think you can edit here. I may have to do it under Zone Broker. Let's see. So here, under performance down here, do you see this where it says performance? You can edit the goals, right? So you can edit what goals you want to set for yourself, both on dollars and transactions. The cool thing is if you edit these goals, so you can say how many transactions, how many goals you want. My whole screen is not showing here. Sorry, folks. I don't know how to get to the bottom of this. There's some stuff at the bottom here. Let's go to there. If you set those goals, right? Then as you close things, let's just
Give it a shot at me.
no, I can't get any further, but it'll show up on these rings, okay? Because in SkySlope, when you close things, SkySlope will recognize those closings and put them onto the rings. And so you'll actually see your monthly, quarterly, and yearly goals, and you'll see what you are reaching towards those goals. And a lot of people don't even realize that they're there. So great way to hold yourself accountable, because when you close a deal, it shows up that you did it, right? So it's pretty clear that that goes through that way, and it's kind of fun to watch it. Okay, so where's my deck? Uh-huh. Where's my slide deck? Oh, where'd he go? I'm gonna know which screen I'm on. Uh-huh. Let's see. It's not Zoom. Let's try this. See if that takes me back into my, there we go. Okay. No, I lost my slide deck. How did I lose my slide deck? Okay. This is the PDF. That is not what I want. Somehow I lost my slide deck, folks. That's the Excel. Interesting. I don't know how I did that.
Is it minimized on your screen?
Shrink your screen, Melissa, to see if it's behind something. Maybe it just disconnected, the tab just disconnected from that one.
No, those are my, none of those are showing my, that's the PDF version. Okay, well, I'll just go back into it here. Slides, that's very bizarre. It'll pull up. See what it pulls up on this deck. Yeah, because I'm not seeing anything with that. I must have bounced over on from my okay. All right, let's zoom along here. Okay. So I love some of these phrases. They're kind of cool. Vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision with action can change the world. So what are you going to dream, and how are you going to do that? And look, now I actually want to go to that worksheet. Okay, so let me escape this. At least I know where it is now. And let's go to, my keyboard is messing up here. So, okay. So this is the, oh, this is the snapshot. I need the other one. Let's see if where the other one is, because I downloaded them all here. So you want the business budget workshop. Voila, lots of things here. As I said, this is going to give you both personal and business. On the bottom, you'll see the different tabs, right? So we talked a little bit about licensing your annual costs. Now you can look at whether you're putting these in January, February, March, right? And how they affect you for the entire year. This will calculate, okay? So you can look at what your income you want from your income for your commissions, and then how, you're going to estimate that those are going to break down. Licensing, brokerage fees, marketing fees, right? Social media, print materials, farming materials, signs, pop buys. Folks, you get given pop buys right now through Rock Title. We've always got something new every month. You can also, if you're joining the Buffini, you will be sent things through Buffini, client gifts, utilities for things that keep your business running, right? All of these things are part of your expenses. And you can look at your personal, you can look at your income. What are your home costs? What are your utilities? So you can put all those things down here and get a budget together. Now, if this is too much for you, right? Stop. Go past this sheet, okay? Don't get bogged down on this sheet first and foremost. We want you to get through to the other sheets. The people that created this love spreadsheets. Sorry about that. Love spreadsheets, and I love them too, but we can get lost in a world of spreadsheets, right? However, if you have never looked at what your current expenses are and you are struggling to make ends meet, this is a great time to take a look at what you're spending. And I don't know how many of you have auto renewals on things on your phone. I would go through your credit card receipts and find out expenses. You're like, what is this $7.95 I'm getting billed every month? Or what's this $19.95 I'm getting billed every quarter? If you are not using it, cancel it, right? Get rid of those because they add up. How many of you, just off the top of your head, are spending at least $20 a month on something that you are not using and you know you're getting billed for it, right?
And I don't even know what it's for.
Then I'll go in and try to figure out how to cancel that, right? So this is a great worksheet. Again, if you've never done this, I highly recommend you take the time to do it, but please don't stop here. If this gets overwhelming, put this aside, just shrink it down, right? Like get it to shrink down and go on to something else and go back to your planning for your own stuff. So let's go back to this. Yeah.
Interesting here is this is the same format I use for the big buildings, where I.
Oh, it's the
$50
same?
million, budget.
Absolutely.
So you can change your different expense categories, but you have your income, your recoverable expenses, non-recoverable expenses.
Mhm.
And you can see exactly where you're at, and you can catch those $7, auto renews also.
Correct. I mean, and seriously, if you have not looked through your credit card receipts to see things that you don't know are charging you, it is time to do that and make sure you get rid of that. Think about that. If you could save even just $50 a month on stuff you're not using and you're paying for, that's a huge savings to start 2026 with, right? So again, you can track these things in the one zone on the transaction tab. Then we need to go and look at what we did in 2025, right? So if you were in business in 2025, and again, please know 23, 20, the end of 23, 24, and 25 were slower years across the board, right? I've got experienced agents that had slower years, right? And then there are others that excelled. Why did they excel? Because they were open to reaching new business typically, or two, they had a huge referral base, right? And their clients were coming back to them and they're keeping in touch with them. But here's the thing to look at. What was your total income in 2025? If you do not know where to find that, go into your one zone. You can look at what your transactions were. You can see the number of transactions and you can see your gross revenue. Okay. So start with what your total income is, right? What was it in 2025? How many listing appointments did you have? Do you even track that? That would be an interesting one. How many have tracked how many appointments they had versus how many listings they had, right? Everybody knows the listings they signed, but how many appointments did you go on? Because it's really important to know if you're going on 30 appointments and only getting one, you need to sit down with somebody in this office, whether it's me or find an accountability partner, and sit down and go, can I do my listing presentation to you? I seem to be going to 30 listing presentations and I'm only able to get one of those to sign. Well, that's a problem, right? Again, we talked about the open houses. If you're going to 30 presentations and you're only nailing one of those, something's wrong in that presentation. Don't keep repeating it, right? You got to figure out what you're doing that is either frightening the sellers away, or you're losing your own, motivation to close that deal. So something's got to shift, right? You don't want to keep doing that and not succeeding. If you really can't do listing appointments, then you got to find somebody else to do the listing appointments for you, right? Because that would be if I told you somebody was going to 30 open houses and only getting one client out of it,
They're not doing it right.
everybody would say, well, something's wrong with that picture, right? Don't keep doing something if you're not getting the response, which is why you need to know how many listing appointments you went on. How many buyer appointments? So I love this. What constitutes a buyer appointment, right? Is that when you're actually sitting down and talking with them about what you provide as a buyer's agent? Well, that's great. But how many of you do that?
Well, I mean, when I have a lead and I've converted that lead and I have a buyer's presentation.
But you had to convert that lead first. But how many times are you having a conversion without having that buyer appointment? How many of you are literally going and showing homes and not sitting down with them and actually having a buyer appointment, right?
You can't do that.
Well, you have to have the document. I get that. You have to have your buyer broker agreement. But how many of you are actually, some people skip that. But if I asked how many buyer agents actually sat down and actually had an appointment, it's probably very few. So what constitutes a buyer's appointment? Are you having a mini buyer's appointment at an open house and getting somebody to sign a thing to go show them homes tomorrow? Well, that's kind of an appointment. So then the question is, you had an appointment and yes, they signed, but then they disappeared in a week, right? Maybe you did the agreement to show property, my unfavorite document, right? Right. So you're going to have to figure out, what does that mean, buyer's appointment? And maybe you need to have an actual buyer's appointment, right? Maybe you're right. Maybe you need to start setting appointments to meet with buyers to tell them what you do. Do you know what you do? Do you have that prepared to tell them what you do? Right? Are you ready to say, this is what I do for you as a buyer's agent? I would bet probably half my agents do not have that prepared. Now, do we have a buyer presentation, by the way? You do. It's already prepared for you. I would edit it, but it's already there, right? And you can input, your creative side to it on what you provide your buyers, right? So, but you got to be able to track this stuff, right? Whoops, I went too fast. So, what was your sales goal for 2025? What was your transaction goal? Did you achieve it? Right? Did you see that income result that you wanted?
No.
Did you see the number of transactions? Okay. So what did you do well in 2026? Right? Just if you didn't reach those goals, that's not okay, but that's okay. Right? I mean, we get that 2025 is done, but what did you do well? What were you successful at? Right? So there is, then you're going to be able to look at the snapshot. I'm going to jump back over that. But I love this question. If I could have done one thing differently last year, what would it have been? What would you have done differently if you could redo the year, right? And what's the biggest lesson you learned? Okay. All right. So this is the instructions for the snapshot. I am actually going to jump back over here because I really, really want to show you this because I think this is one of the coolest ones. So if you see this bottom here, you will see tabs along the bottom. The first one is instructions. It's going to tell you exactly how to do this snapshot. It says at the top of the page in your enter your average sales price, right? So here's the snapshot. And this, you're going to do this as a reflection of your business closed. But I will tell you, if you are newer agents and you don't have a huge history, what you need to look at is your sphere of influence and who you expect you will be working with, right? What is the average sales price? What are those people you are talking to or you believe you would be interacting with? You're going to know, are they buying 300,000, 500,000, 700,000, $1 or $2 million properties? You're going to know those price ranges if you've actually talked to these people at all, right? You're going to know what type of price point you're looking at. It's important to know your average sales price. Why? Why? Why do we need your average sales price?
Calculate your commission.
Yeah.
To calculate your commission to know what you're going to make, right? So let's see if this will work. So if I put the average sales price of $550,000 and my average commission, and I'm going to use 2.5%, and I will tell you actually why I'm going to use 2.5%. I've been doing this 28 years, and I've actually calculated year over year over year what I actually made. And I will tell you, for the most part, it has been between 2.3% and 2.6% for almost all 28 years. Okay. Really. Okay. So the fact that, because the 2.2, because I've given a discount to people that I've sold a home and bought another home for, that was my choice, but that's been my overall. So I'm going to use the 2.5%. Okay. And that gives me an average gross commission of 13,750, right? So if I want to make a certain amount of money, I have to, let's see if this is going to show me. It's not. So, whoops. So here you're going to go in and put how many of your listings sold were past clients. Right now, all of mine were past clients, but sphere of influence, allied resources. I love this term, right? So it's not just our partners, because we have partners here, but our partners would be part of our allied resources. Your allied resources are all those people you interact with. You can make them an allied resource, right? Who do you go and get your nails done with? Who are your doctors? Who's your veterinarian? Who's your financial planner? Who is your hairstylist, right? Now, some of them do have many other people that are realtors. I get that. But if you create a connection, do you think maybe they'd forward somebody to you maybe once every 6 months, right? You're not asking for every friggin' lead from them, but just one or two here and there. But how do you curate that, right? Well, somebody is looking for a hairstylist, right? And who are you referring them to? Hey, Sarah, aren't you glad that I sent you John the other day? Hey, if you know of anybody looking for real estate, don't forget to send them my way, right? Those are your allied resources. How many of you are talking to those people, right? Your barista, if you're going into Starbucks or another coffee shop day after day after day, they get to know you, right? How are you making sure they know you're the local expert? You're here. They're seeing you every day. Somebody's looking for real estate in that neighborhood. Oh, hey, I've got somebody to suggest you go to.
Seeing you every day.
Oh my
Trying
gosh.
to set up a budget. Buy a freaking coffee maker.
That was perfect. So yes, if you are going into a coffee shop and buying coffee every day and you're struggling with your budget, buy a coffee maker. I absolutely agree.
Dave Ramsey,
What's
Dave
great-
Ramsey would be like, oh, are you stupid?
Or they gotta buy one house.
About noon.
You buy what?
They gotta buy one house from you.
You gotta buy one house and then yeah, buy a fancy coffee maker and you're set for the year, right? That'll
Like
Yeah.
$120.
right. So here you can go to the next section and there are instructions for potential income. Here's the potential, right? Reflection of business closed. You can talk about potential income lost. This is fascinating, right? We don't think about this. So how many of you that are experienced agents have driven past a house and gone, there is a sign in my client's yard? Like, oh. Actually, that did happen to me. And it was another realty. It was fine. It was another Realty One agent, but they had also worked with him. So I introduced them. It was not a problem. But and there was a reason they took it and not me, and I was glad for that. But it's like, it's just a knife, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I obviously was out of sight, out of mind, right? So, but that's why this has this potential income, right? Past clients that you know they sold their home, they moved, like, oh, they're gone, and you're like, I didn't sell their home, right? Sphere of influence. How many of you at Thanksgiving heard that your cousin, bought a house in town? Really? Come on, right? But that's your sphere, right? Allied resources. If you are actually working with your allied resources, all of those people you do business with, right? Because obviously our Rock Title and our Epic Lending, I mean, they're working with all of us. So they're not going to be able to give every single one of us. But if you're bringing business to them and they're seeing repeat business, they're going to get stuff back to you. They do that. They do refer people back to folks. So, how do you garner that connection to build those businesses? Realtor referrals. Oh my gosh, folks, referrals, right? If you went to the summit, how many people did you meet? You're traveling, you're going to another city, state where there's a Realty One Group office. Go knock, call and set an appointment to meet them. I can be your resource for Scottsdale, Arizona. Are you kidding me? Right? Perfect opportunity. What are you doing to follow up with that office? 3 months later, are you sending them something? Send them a basket of goodies. Do you think they'll remember you? Like, do something to make yourself stand out. But if you are not working on realtor referrals and you are talking to realtors outside of this office, right? Outside of this area, who is bringing people in? But of course, this is the side you're losing them, right? If they're people that you don't know. Staff, I don't think that applies to most people unless you're working another job and there's coworkers and things that you miss the opportunity to do referrals. So, but this goes into a whole bunch of stuff that you can go down. And this is, the one side is reflection of business closed, trying to figure out where did that business come from? Right? When you all of a sudden are working with somebody, where did you find them? Did you find them at a coffee shop? Did you find them at a party? Were you at a holiday party and your friend introduced you to them? Right? That's through to me, that's sphere of influence. If your friend introduced you, that's going out of your own sphere. Okay. But let's say you were at open houses. How many did you get from open houses? Right. And I laugh because people holding open houses, some of the newer agents think, well, they're supposed to be selling that house. No, if you're a buyer's agent and you're holding an open house for somebody else's listing, your job is to get clients, right? If you sell the house, kudos to you. Congratulations. That's a bonus, right? Your goal is to get clients. So how many clients did you close homes with that directly came from open houses? Again, if you're not having any way to track this, how do you know where they came from? Right? Go through and try and look at it. Sign calls. If you had listings and your sign is getting a bunch of calls, right? Here, I go up here, you're farming, just listed, just sold. Did somebody call you from one of those cards? Did you have a QR code that went into your CRM? It'll show that it came through those networks. You all have free access to What's My Home Worth, the algorithm that's on your website. You all have a free website that's there. Even if you're not using that website, it's already set up for you, right? You can steal that that link and send that out, you will get notified somebody is looking for a valuation on their home. Now they get the automated valuation, but it sends them a thing that says, do you want more information? And you get the address. Guess what you can do? Send a letter, send a postcard, go knock on a door. You have the address, right? You don't have, well, you can pull up the name, hopefully, through Monsoon, but no, it does not give you email and contact unless they contact, they fill in the form. But there's a ton of stuff here, folks, that gives you information. This next section, whoops, there we go. The next section is the summary, and this stuff all pulls over to here so you can see total listings, total buyers, and what your net income was. How easy is that? These spreadsheets are incredible if you put them to work. Okay, that's why I wanted to show you that one. All right, I've got to finish out. We got to get these slides through these. Go back to the slide deck here. And we'll go on from that. So it's going to talk about the closed sales, calculate the commission earned for each source. What was the cost of securing the business? So you can see that. Here's a peek at the one we were just looking at on the snapshot. I copied and pasted this because I wanted to make sure you could see it. Okay. So what are your goals for 2026? What is that total income you actually want to get to? And if you went back to what your percentage was, right, your gross commission, then what are the number of transaction closed? Oh, this is actually, that's weird. Cost investment closed, fall through rate. Wonder if that's supposed to be 2025. Nope. So, the number of your transactions closed and the average sales price, and then what you think the fall through rate is going to be, right? Pending transactions that do not close. Then how many listings do you need and how many buyers are needed, right? And so you can look at this and why is your income goal important to you? So these are the questions that hurt, right? Why is the income goal important to you? I don't know. I will have 2 kids in college next year. What will it bring you to allow you to accomplish this, right? What are those goals? And they don't have to be huge, but there's some goal there, even if it's just to be able to pay your mortgage and have enough food to live off of, right? There's some goal there. There's a reason you're doing this, right? If you do not hit this goal, who will suffer, right? If I don't hit a specific goal, can I pay my kids' tuition, right? Can I pay for their housing? Don't worry, kid, you'll be good. You can go back next year, right? Is that what you're going to say? No, right? I mean, seriously, who suffers? What's going to take the hit if you can't get those dollars, right? What will be sacrificed if I do not hit my goal? Is my goal non-negotiable? Yes or no, right? So there is a calculator in there as well, One Business Calculator worksheet. Do check that one out. I'm not going to go through each of those. Here are some cool questions. So, power questions. 3 ways I will increase my revenue in 2026. What can those be? Maybe it's to add open houses. Maybe it's to walk neighborhoods to partner with those open houses I'm doing, right? Maybe I'm sending out a flyer before I'm doing my open houses. What are things you're going to do to increase your revenue? How are you meeting new people? Or if you've got a great sphere, what are you adding to your to-do list that you're reconnecting with them? Am I going to add coffee once every 2 weeks with one of my sphere? If I'm not actually interacting with them, what can I do to reconnect? Have I been doing the pop buys, right? If I've got people that live in this area and I'm not taking a pop by and dropping it by their door and taking a quick photo and sending them a text and say, hey, Kevin, just dropped something by your house. Hope you're having a great December, right? Or happy 2026. Top of mind, folks. What can you do to increase your revenue? Okay. 3 ways to generate referrals, including your allied resources. What can you do to open up those avenues of conversation with people you already interact with? How can you build those relationships? You were saying you need to talk to your doctor. It's a little harder. Doctors typically don't want to interact. You have some that probably do, right?
Yeah,
More.
especially my dentist, super cool.
Right. So, but let's say you've got a financial planner. Hey, can I take you to lunch? Really love to talk to you a little further. Here's one of my goals. I'd like to be referring people to those people I trust, and I'd really appreciate referrals back from people that I believe in me and know what I'm doing for my clients. I'd love to start sending people your way. You've probably remembered that I sent you Joe and Sarah and let them know, look, I am sending people to you. Can you keep me top of mind, right? So how do you generate those referrals, including those allied resources? And 3 ways to improve your quality of service. When I talked about, I'm not sure most of my agents actually have a buyer plan where they can sit down and talk to their buyers and have paperwork. Many agents have the listing presentation set up, right? They have printouts that they are ready to take and hand to somebody, right? But do you have a flyer that talks about you as a buyer's agent? I mean, we've talked about all the things that NAR produced for us a year ago. Did you put that into a flyer? Do you have something you could hand somebody, right? With the agency and with those other things. That's a way to improve your quality of service. What's another way to improve quality of service? What's one of the top things you need to do as an agent? And are you doing your best at it? What's the number one thing that on any of the NAR reports do they say that is lacking from agents? Does anybody know?
The number one thing NAR is saying is lacking.
Mm-hmm. They do their studies and stuff.
Follow-ups,
Communication.
communication,
So why do you think that is?
fear.
Fear, but possibly how you communicate with people. Are you listening to your clients? How do they want you to communicate with them? Do you ask them? Right? I've got millennials. Oh yeah, no, I don't do Facebook. I don't do this. I don't email. Okay, well, how do you communicate with your clients, right? How do they want you to communicate with them? If they tell you they want you to text them, are you texting them? Or are you calling them and always getting their voicemail because they don't answer their phones, right? How are you communicating with them? One of the top ways to improve your quality of service is ask your clients, how do they want you to communicate with them? And if you love talking on the phone, that's great. But make sure that if that's not the way they need you to communicate with them, that you are reaching them and reaching out to them the ways they want you to reach out to them, right? Now, also with that, I have to say, in a real estate transaction, there are timely things that need to be addressed. You need to talk to your client, and I'm dead serious about this. How do I reach you in case of an emergency? How is the best way to get you to respond? Because there are things that are of a timely nature. I need to make sure that I can get a response. What is the best way to do that in case of emergency, right? So you need to ask them those things. So, 2026, what is your greatest strength? Okay. For those that attended my my business plan, not the business planning, the unique value proposition, the farming and branding. On my branding workshop, I talk about what makes you unique. Your one value proposition or your unique value proposition. What makes you different? I've got 4 agents here, other salespeople here, but 4 agents. What makes each of you unique? You are not similar agents in any way, shape, or form. That is great. Let yourself stand out. And how do you do that? Then how are you using that unique value proposition in your business? How are you sharing that? How are you making sure that that lets you stand out? And funny thing, how are you getting to a crowd that is going to value that? Right? So, how do you find that crowd that is going to want that unique value proposition? Okay, so think about that. And what do you need the most help with? Right? So, do you need an accountability partner? We could try to see if other agents will set up and do accountability workshops with one another where you can call each other weekly and stuff like that.
Stay tuned for that.
Oh, that's true. The 100 Days of Greatness is coming up. That has a lot of accountability stuff and training. And yes, that will be very
It's going to
cool.
Begin the end of January or Feb.
So the Buffini 100 Days of Greatness, we have partnered, Realty One Group has partnered with Brian Buffini. We will be offering, and there is a cost to it, but there is a lot of value to it. So if you did not include on your budget some training and some ways to improve your skill sets, that is probably one you want to look at. $395. Thank you. I did not have that price. So what resources do you have to solve those things that are a challenge for you? And here you will see the business plan includes these 4 different worksheets and calculators. They are all on the business planning guide. They're all in one university. If you print this out, you can then go back in and you can type those into the search bar and they will come up if they don't come up now when you're in the business planning guide. So some people do better if they break it down. So break it down by quarter. What are your goals by the quarter, right? You can break it down in 12 if you prefer to do it by month, but typically, folks, real estate transactions take more than 30 days. So, if you start in January, deal's not going to close till February, right? So potentially. So I would start with a quarter. I think it's a little easier than saying, here's my whole year. Great, done. Push that aside. No, you need to break it down from there, right? Especially if you know you need to do certain number of open houses. Those you probably are looking at monthly. But you can certainly look at this for the goals and tasks and you break it down a little more. Here's how to achieve your goals, right? To achieve your goals, what are the poor habits to stop? Oh, well, you brought one up. Don't go to the coffee shop every day. That's a huge expense. That is very funny, folks. When I did short sales, I can't tell you how many bank accounts that I looked at that people were going to Starbucks every single day. But the worst here, I'll tell you what though, the worst actually was the Circle K runs or QT runs. Because people would go in and think they're buying a cup of coffee for $1 or $2, saving money, but they would actually spend $15 because they would grab this snack and that snack and a pack of gum and this. All of a sudden spending $15 every day on literal junk, right? Not a good plan, right? So check your debit card, check your credit card. What are things you're spending regularly, right? What are the poor habits to stop? The give up list, right? And then we're going to have, I hope, the things to do. Whoops. Where's the next slide? That was it. That was page 8. That was page 8. Okay. So I would add, what are the things to add? So what are the habits you want to have, not rather than just the ones to stop. So I hope you will take advantage of this in one university. It is a very cool business plan. If this is overwhelming you, please come to me. I do have a short version of this that can be used that is a little easier to digest if this is too much. I appreciate our corporate training division giving us these tools of these calculators. I do worry that it's going to be overwhelming to some people. But if at the very basic, you look at what your main goals are, try to figure out your expenses and the ways that you want to create that revenue for 2026. What are you looking to do? How many clients do you need? Right? I've shared with people, I've had new agents come in and say, I'm going to make $1 million this year. And I'm like, really, I've been in this business 28 years. I've never made $1 million in a year. And I've been a top producer in this office many years running, right? So, like, hold on a minute. That is not realistic, right? Unless you happen to have $10 million, clients buying $10 million homes. And if you're a brand new agent, I doubt that that's where you're coming in from. So please remember to take advantage of this. Spend some time, do a little, you got a couple more weeks before the end of the year. Spend a little time looking back and then looking forward. All right. Happy New Year. And we are not doing another Tuesday training and tactics until January because they fall right before the holidays. And it was like with the holiday midweek, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you. There are pop buys over there. Thank you, Rebecca. So if you need more, give her a call
And we could custom make them.
and they can custom make them. Awesome. Thank you guys online. I think we've still got, is it somebody still there? I'm going to stop recording.
Nice.